Hello and welcome to a new edition of True Audiophiles. Before we get too deep into the episode and the topics at hand, just wanted to encourage you to subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. I'm getting more and more subscriptions and I love it. I love subscribers. If you like the video, please make sure and hit that like button. And if you want to know when my new videos come out, hit that alert bell. Also, I am on social media. I haven't been on it too heavily the past few weeks. Life and work have gone a little busier than I anticipated the past few weeks, and it's made it even harder to do these videos recently, but I'm going to try to keep up with that and keep up with the social media. But I usually post maybe once or twice a week at least. I try to do more, but my biggest area is on Facebook. I have a Facebook group called True Audiophile, so you can check me out there, and I'm also on Twitter and Instagram. All the links are in the description as well. So, also after talking about the topic at hand, I will show you some 3 records that I got at my local record store this week that I'm pretty excited to show everybody and to listen to. And if you want to check those out, please stay tuned for it after the topic at hand discussion. So, and that topic at hand is talking about audiophile releases. So, do you feel that audiophile reissues should be only made from audiophile level recordings? And I don't necessarily mean ones that are specifically designed to be audiophile recordings, but ones that are at that level and that are already really well recorded, really well produced records, as opposed to ones that may not have been recorded as well. Big reason why I bring this up is seeing a couple of different posts on social media this past couple weeks about kind of about this topic in a way. One of the first ones was about a audiophile reissue, and they had brought up that it didn't sound as good as the other reissues in that same line. You know, when I say line, I mean stuff like UHQRs by Analog Productions, or One Steps by MoFi, or Tone Poets by Blue Note, whatever the series is, and that they weren't happy with the way it sounded, and I got the impression that they didn't compare it to previous versions of that record, and I can't speak to experience on it. I have the record. I'm not going to go into details about which one that is, but I have that release and I think it sounds really good. I don't have earlier reissues of it though, or earlier pressings of it, or different masterings of it to compare besides digital. But the comments section of that post did mention that that in most cases, I think all the cases of responses that talked about previous versions of that album, they thought it sounded the best of any version that they've heard. So that kind of led me to thinking about it as well, and I'll tell you my stance on that in a little bit. But one of the other things that I've seen come up a couple times also is people wanting to rank their favorite sounding, or the best sounding UHQR or One Step or Tone Poet or something like that, and then what was their worst sounding one. Kind of all leads back to the same point that I'm getting at here, and one of those things that I understand where they're coming from, but at the same time I'm not sure their head is in the right space, maybe is the term I want to use. And what I mean by that is, should you be comparing a audiophile reissue to the same series of ones that have been released? In other words, other albums that have been released in that same series, and or should you be comparing it to older versions of that, including first pressings or whatever used to be considered the best sounding version of that release? So, and at the end of the day, in my opinion, it really should be about how it sounds versus other versions of that release. Does it sound better than any other version that's been released before? Not how it sounds against other releases in that same series of one steps or UHQRs or tone poets or whatever. Because to me, that really is. I understand why you may want to do that, maybe to kind of show off your system. But if you're buying music to listen to the music and you want the best sounding version of that release, that should really be, in my opinion anyway, the main reason why you're buying that or listening to that version, and why that album should be coming out in that audiophile release. Because like I said, I've seen some stuff on social media about, hey, what's your favorite sounding one step and what's your least favorite one step from a sound quality perspective. And it just seems, again, I understand it, but at the same time, if that worst sounding one step sounded better than any other version of that album previously, is it really matter if it's the worst sounding one step or not? Curious about what you want to think about that, or what you think about that. Should it really be more about how that version sounds versus previous versions, or should it be one of those things where you're comparing it to other albums in that same series of releases? And so love to hear your take and see what you think about that, but my take is definitely it should be more about, is that the best sounding version of that album? And in my opinion, that's why you should buy it, is because it's the best sounding version of that album, if it is. Because that's part of the big reason why I do my sound quality shootouts here, is to try to give you my perspective on how maybe a new audiophile reissue sounds versus older versions of it, and whether it's definitely the best, or whether some elements are better or other elements are better on the older versions, like you usually see on my videos. So, but anyway, want to hear your take on that stuff. Let me know in the comment section below, and we can discuss that. I'd be more than happy to discuss any of that with you on here and in my description. I should say in my comments section. So that is everything about that topic. Now I would like to kind of show you a couple of albums I got this week at my local used record store. It's called Records the Good Kind. I really, really like that record store. They almost always have great stuff in stock there, used. He's always good at being able to get collections and things like that. But I want to kind of go over, I have 3 records that I got there that I'm really excited about. One other one I got that, it was one of those ones that I couldn't turn it down, but I'm not going to go over that. So let's start off with the first one that I got this week, and that is Danny Elfman. I think it's actually called Solo, but it's a self-titled record. Boy, try to say that 5 times fast. It's on the Rainbow MCA label. I have not washed any of these yet. That's why it's still in a paper sleeve, and it will get out of that paper sleeve forever soon. So just take that for notice. So anyway, I really like Danny Elfman's stuff. I really, got really into him more when he started doing soundtracks, like Batman and some other movie soundtracks. But then I got into his older stuff with Oingo Boingo and some of his solo stuff. His last album was really good. I bought the box set that had it was a 4 LP set of different remixes and things like that. So really enjoy his stuff. So I'm looking forward to that. I actually really have never listened to that yet. So I'm very excited. It's the first time I've seen it out in the wild. I've seen many pictures, especially recently. I think that they may have done a reissue on that lately, but I'd never picked it up. So next one is Black Sabbath, Mob Rules. But what's great about this is it's a UK pressing. I want to say it's an earlier first pressing just by the looks of it. I have not researched it on Discogs or anywhere yet, but it is on a Vertigo label. Probably my least favorite Vertigo label. I really wish they had like the older ones where they had that logo being the entire label. But it's a little dusty, but it's because it's been in a paper sleeve. But I think it's the original paper sleeve. But otherwise, all of these are probably near mint to very good plus. I'm seeing a couple of minor scuffs on this one, but I don't think it's anything that'll affect the play. So excited to listen to that one, because if you've watched some of my previous videos, I've mentioned before, my general rule of thumb is when I'm looking for an album, I'm trying to find obviously either an audiophile release of it or a first pressing from the country of origin of the band or the recording or both. And I think that's from the UK. Obviously, Black Sabbath's from the UK, and I want to say it may have been recorded in the UK, but I'm not sure about that one. So we'll see how that sounds. I have some old US pressings that I can compare it to. So last one up is a Japanese pressing, and I love Japanese pressings, as I believe a lot of you know. This one is of the Runaways, Queens of Noise, and this one's in, again, really good condition. For those of you who are not in the know, Runaways has two very, very popular people in it. This band was formed in like the mid to late 70s. The most notable band members in here are Lita Ford, who is right here, and I think she's blocked off here, but she's also up here. Joan Jett. So I really like their music, and I actually do really like this album. I have a reissue that came out a few years ago, so I'm excited to get the Japanese pressing. So anyway, that's my video for this week. I hope you liked it. I hope you guys have had a great week. I really appreciate you watching, especially watching all the way through a longer video. But I hope you have a great rest of your week, and I will talk to you next time. Thanks a lot.